We got Zion Williamson saying that he's physically fine. He just doesn't feel like himself. He's not playing. Let me know what you think the Pelicans need to do with Zion.
All I can say is I know the Memphis Grizzlies are so elated that they did not draft Zion Williamson because one, I mean, he wasn't available, but I think they got the best out of the two in between Ja and Zion. So just to kind of think about what Zion is saying about his mental well-being, he really didn't touch on it. He said physically he's fine, right? Over the course of the past 2-3 years, his issue was his weight. He stayed injured because his joints. And so when you're talking about that type of player that's explosive and dynamic, and you're weighing almost 280 at his height, that's just not good for his joints and longevity in the NBA. So he's on par with the physical part, but he's not right up there mentally. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I hate to do this because I'm criticizing someone that played very good basketball during their time at Duke, and we're Duke fans.
For
But
sure.
I have to call a spade a spade. Zion don't want to be in New Orleans. Zion doesn't want to be in New Orleans. And it's interesting because they actually have a really good roster.
They
They
do.
have a good roster. And so when you plug in a superstar like Zion, because to me, he is a superstar. When he's fully healthy, those turnstiles at the stadium are going to erupt because he makes spectacular plays.
For
And so
sure.
when you have a guy that's completely healthy that can change the narrative of the season by just playing and being on the court with his team, and he does not play in the playing game, I think it might be time to trade him, man.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I wouldn't say that he doesn't want to play in New Orleans. I can't see again a scenario that's a lot better for him
He
than
wanted to go to
having
New York.
Brandon Ingram and CJ McCullough. But I think the reality of it is this generation deals with immense pressure. You heard Giannis talk about it and the mental health struggles that he had and thinking about walking away from the game in 2020. This is one of the best basketball players on the planet who's dominant at his position, potential MVP candidate who's saying in 2020 he thought about hanging it up. I think that we've created a world through social media, through the interactions where there's so much negativity. You look at a guy like LeBron James, and people just talk about the basketball when they talk about the GOAT. They don't want to talk about everything else he's dealt with when they compare him to Michael Jordan. But he's dealt with 10 times the scrutiny that Michael Jordan dealt with, and for 20 years been able to still be a dominant player. He's been to 11 NBA finals at this point. So I think again we live in a different world where I think Zion is just scared to go out there and not meet the expectations. So we've created an environment where not only in the NBA but in other arenas of life, people are scared to fail. What does it mean for me to fail? How are other people going to look at it? What are people going to say about me? And again, that criticism is a lot. It's a lot of people crumble under that, and rightfully so. It's a lot of pressure to deal with. Do I think it's time to trade him? It's a tough call. I think you got to do everything you can to try to figure out how to make this work because of the sheer amount of talent that he has. What else can we do for you, Zion? You got to coddle him in the situation. Well, how can we make it better for you? What can we do to sweeten the pot?